All right, so you open up Claude Code for the first time, and what do you see? A black screen, a blinking cursor. It's kind of intimidating, right? If you don't have a coding background, you're probably sitting there thinking, wait, how is this supposed to make my life easier?
But here's the thing, it's not as scary as it looks. What if I told you that by the end of this, you'll have a super clear mental model for how it all works? We're going to break down all 27 core concepts of Claude Code, piece by piece, kind of like building with Legos. The goal here is simple. Turn that confusion into total confidence.
Okay, first things first, let's get one huge thing straight. Claude Code is not just another chatbot. A typical chatbot, it gives you advice. It's like getting a blueprint for a cool Lego set. But Claude Code, it's a whole different ball game. It actually takes action on your computer. It doesn't just hand you the blueprint, it grabs the bricks and builds the model for you. We're talking creating files, setting up entire websites, the whole shebang.
So here's our game plan, our builder's journey. We're going to start with your very first Lego bricks, then move on to building a custom kit. After that, we'll unlock some seriously superpowered pieces. And finally, we'll get to the really cool stuff, your own self-building Lego sets. Sound good? Let's jump in.
All right, part 1, your first Lego bricks. Let's cover the absolute fundamentals, the foundations you need to get rolling.
Okay, remember that scary black screen? That's called the terminal. And seriously, don't let it freak you out. Just think of it as your Lego building board. It's simply the flat surface where you put everything together by typing in plain English.
So what are you typing? These are your prompts. They're literally your building instructions. And the best part? It's just plain English. The whole secret sauce to using Claude Code effectively is just being specific. So instead of saying something vague like, build a website, you say exactly what you want. Build a one-page landing page for a consulting business with a green color scheme. See the difference? Simple as that.
Now this is super important. Because Claude can make real changes on your computer, we need to talk about permissions. Think of them as the safety rules for your building area. By default, Claude is going to ask you for permission for pretty much everything. To make things go faster, you can pre-approve the safe stuff, like just reading files. But for the riskier actions, like say deleting files or installing new software, you'll definitely want to keep that approval gate up.
So you might be wondering, how does Claude actually do all this stuff? Well, it uses what are called tools. Just imagine they're its little Lego hands. The 3 big ones are read, so it can look at your files, write, so it can make new ones, and bash, which is just a fancy way of saying it can run commands. The cool thing is, you don't have to worry about any of this. You just tell Claude what you want, and it automatically picks the right tool for the job.
Okay, let's talk about the context window. In the simplest terms, it's just Claude's short-term memory. Everything you type, every file it looks at, it all gets held right there. But, and this is a big but, it has a limit. If your conversation goes on for too long, things can get a little messy. It's called context rot, and it's basically when Claude starts to forget what you talked about at the beginning. We'll fix that later, though.
But hey, don't worry about losing your progress. Claude Code has your back. It automatically saves every single conversation. So you can literally shut your laptop, come back the next day, type in Claude-resume, and boom, you're dropped right back into your project exactly where you left off, with all the context intact. It's amazing. And last for this section, let's touch on cost. How do you pay for all this? Well, it's measured in something called tokens, which is basically a fraction of a word. Think of it this way. The really powerful models like Opus are like those giant, expensive Lego Technic sets. And then you've got your all-rounders like Sonnet, which are more like your standard, cost-effective kits. You're just paying for the bricks as you go.
Okay, part 2, building your custom kit. You've got the basic bricks down. Now let's get into how you can personalize Claude Code so it works exactly the way you want it to.
And this right here, this might be the single most important file you'll use, Claude.md. Think of it as your project's master blueprint. It's just a simple text file where you can write down permanent rules. Things like, always use TypeScript, or write in our brand voice. And here's why it's so powerful. Claude reads this file first, every single time you start. That means you never have to repeat yourself in every prompt. It's a game changer. Now, Claude.md is for rules on a specific project. But then there's memory. This is different. This is all about your personal style. Claude just learns. It watches how you work across all your different projects and picks up on your preferences. So if you always like your code formatted a certain way, it'll start doing that automatically. It gets smarter and more personalized the more you use it. Hey, remember we talked about context rot? You know, when the conversation gets too long and Claude's memory gets cluttered? Well, here's your fix, the compact command. This thing is like the magic orange Lego brick separator. You run it, and it instantly cleans up your workspace. It summarizes everything important, gets rid of all the noise, and keeps Claude totally focused on the task at hand.
It's also good to know that Claude Code isn't just one single AI. It's actually a whole family of different models you can choose from. You've got Haiku, which is cheap and great for simple tasks, your basic bricks. Then there's Sonnet, the solid all-rounder, like a standard Lego City kit. And for the really tough, complex problems, you bring out Opus. That's your expert-level Lego Technics set. The trick is just to pick the right tool for the job, and yeah, you can even switch models right in the middle of a conversation.
Here's a pro tip for keeping things secure. You're not going to want Claude to have access to every file in your project, right? So to keep your private areas off limits, you just add them to a deny list in a file called settings.json. This is how you make sure Claude never ever touches your sensitive stuff. We're talking API keys, passwords, all that good stuff. It keeps your secrets safe.
Okay, part 3, unlocking the super-powered pieces. This is where things go from being just useful to being, well, genuinely game-changing. Let's get into the really powerful features.
All right, imagine you give Claude a really big, complex task. Instead of trying to do everything at once, it can act like a manager and delegate smaller jobs to what are called subagents. Think of these as specialist builders. Each one gets a specific task, goes off into its own clean, quiet workspace to get it done, and then reports back. The quality and speed go way up because they aren't getting distracted by everything else going on.
But there's a catch with subagents. They can only report back to the main agent, which can create a bottleneck. So, for the really big projects, you need agent teams. This is totally different. Instead of one manager, the agents can actually talk to each other directly and work off a shared to-do list. This is for when your specialists really need to collaborate, like a real team, to get a big job done.
And then there's image support. You know the saying, a picture is worth 1,000 words? Well, here, it's worth 1,000 lines of code. Instead of trying to type out a long description of some weird visual bug on your website, you can just paste a screenshot. That's it. Claude literally sees the picture, understands what's wrong, and just gets to work fixing it. It's incredible.
And that brings us to our final section, part 4, your self-building Lego sets. We're going to take all the pieces we've learned and put them together to unlock true automation. This is the holy grail, getting Claude Code to build things all by itself. So how do we do that? With something called headless mode. All you do is add a little flag to your command, and you completely change the game. Claude stops being a conversational partner and becomes an autonomous robot. You give it a task, and it just goes, from start to finish, with zero approvals needed. It is the ultimate set it and forget it for your projects.
But what if you need to do more than one thing at a time? I mean, who doesn't? That's where work trees come in. They let you create these completely separate, isolated copies of your project. So you can literally have one Claude working on a new feature over here, another one fixing a bug over there, and maybe a third one cleaning up old code, all at the same time, without ever getting in each other's way. It's like having a whole team of builders working in parallel.
And that's it. There you have it. Those are the 27 essential breaks you need to understand Claude Code. We've gone from the absolute basics all the way to full-on automation. So that black screen, it's not so scary anymore, is it?